Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and we just got some Xbox Series X news. You know, for a while there, I forgot about the Xbox. It seemed like Microsoft just kind of abandoned it, kind of like Blizzard in Overwatch 2. That hurts to say that, I hope you guys know. But it seemed like for a while there, people were only talking about the PlayStation 5 because that was the only console that was talked about. But it was leaked late last night that the Xbox Series X and the newly announced Xbox Series S, terrible names by the way, is going to be releasing on November 10th with a price point of the Xbox Series X being at $500 and the Xbox Series X at $300. Now again, these are just leaks. It's not like Xbox confirmed any. Oh, they did confirm it late last night after the leaks went live instead of the Xbox Series X is coming out. Oh. See, that's how you handle leaks. Xbox realized that they just leaked out a bunch of information and they played around with it on Twitter and then they announced it even though it probably wasn't the most optimal time to announce the Xbox Series X with their price point and release date. They just figured out, well, I mean, we got nothing else to talk about, so let's just release it. And so they did. And I gotta admit, even though I don't really like how these next-gen consoles are turning out, the Xbox Series S has got to be one of the worst-looking consoles out of the next-gen consoles. No, not just next-gen consoles, out of the whole entire console's existence. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo's, Atari, like my god, the Jaguar looked better than the Xbox Series S. But hey, if you want to have a tennis racket in the form of a console, then you can go ahead and pick up the cheaper version at $300, which it looks like to be just the streaming version, like you can't actually put in a disc because there is no disc drive slot. Whereas on the Series X, you actually do have that disc drive slot. But if you want that, then you're gonna have to have a refrigerator as a console. But it's kind of like pick and choose your poison. Do you want a tennis racket, a refrigerator, or Wi-Fi modem in the form of the PlayStation 5? Like, my god, why do all these consoles look garbage? But you want to know what doesn't look garbage? Just the marketing for this is Overwatch 2. Hey, remember that video game that Blizzard announced last year and then just totally ignored it? And haven't really talked about it officially at all since then? Yeah, let's talk about that, because while I did want to talk about the Xbox Series X, I've talked about everything that I needed to talk about. The price point, the release date, how ugly both the consoles look, but what I also want to talk about, since I am an Overwatch channel, is if Overwatch 2 is going to be releasing alongside the Xbox Series X. Because again, I love to speculate, I love to try to guess what's going on behind the scenes at Blizzard, because Blizzard doesn't want to talk about their own game, so they leave it us to interpret what's happening, and it pains me, bro. It pains me. Now, I just wanted to be clear that Blizzard hasn't talked about Overwatch 2 in regards of the Xbox Series X, or really for the PlayStation 5 for that matter, or really just talked about Overwatch 2 at all for that matter. But a lot of people are assuming that Overwatch 2 is gonna be on the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. That is one of the most safest assumptions, but it's still an assumption because nobody has confirmed that. However, what I'm wanting to entertain the idea of is if Overwatch 2 is gonna be a launch title on the Xbox Series X, which is gonna be on November 10th. Because while us as the community is totally left in the dark of what Overwatch 2 even is, let alone the release date, it wouldn't be too far-fetched of an idea that Overwatch 2 could be a launch title, because when you really think about it, Overwatch 2 is just a glorified expansion. The multiplayer is, I'm assuming, is basically gonna be the same thing, because when I played Overwatch 2 at BlizzCon last year, it was the same. Yes, it did have a new map, or a few new maps, and a new game mode, and a few new skins, but they've had a year to make that, and it was all available at last year's BlizzCon. The only thing that really should take a long time to make in regards of Overwatch 2 is the campaign. But once again, Blizzard has had a whole year to develop the story. The lead writer of Overwatch did just recently leave Blizzard, so it's safe to assume that the story is probably done and written, but are we assuming that Overwatch's 2 campaign missions are completely done to be available at the launch of the Xbox Series X on November 10th? Well, it would be a lot better of an assumption if this year's BlizzCon was still taking place, because last year's BlizzCon did take place on November 1st through November 2nd. And disregarding the thing that is going on in the world, shutting down so many things and gatherings, BlizzCon included, if you were to guess when BlizzCon was taking place in 2020, you wouldn't sound stupid if you were to guess the same exact time, November 1st through November 2nd. That is just a few days away from the Xbox Series X release release date, but if it were to take place, it would make sense for Blizzard to announce that Overwatch 2 is releasing alongside the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, which are both releasing later on this year, and you could expect Overwatch 2 to be a launch title for those consoles. It would just make sense, timing-wise, marketing-wise, and also business-wise. Why wouldn't you release Overwatch 2 alongside the next-gen consoles as a launch title? People are gonna buy the next-gen consoles, they need video games, and while they're not exclusives, it's still a good video game. People look at Overwatch 2 and they recognize, hey, I hear a lot of people talk about Overwatch, what's this second Overwatch game? Let me pick it up because I need video games for my new Xbox. That makes sense, right? But why isn't it? I don't know. Like, I really don't. Well, I love Blizzard with all my heart, and they made a video game that basically made my career. I also could have had another career option, and that is marketing. And they've done a poor job marketing this game, communicating this game with us, just telling us anything about it. They announced it once and left it in the dust. Like, literally, a whole entire year has gone by, and not a single confirmed word has talked about Overwatch 2, what it's really gonna be lore-wise, multiplayer-wise. While we did have the kind of beta version of Overwatch 2, that was just a trial version. Is that gonna be the final version? When is it gonna release? What's the skins gonna look like? Are there gonna be skin packs? None of these questions are answered. We just know Overwatch 2 is a thing and that multiplayer is gonna have a new game mode and a new map and lore. Like, yay, awesome, but what else is it? Like, what's gonna be the price for it? I don't get it, man. And I hate making videos that don't really confirm you or give you answers, but you can tell in my frustration that I want to give you answers. I want to tell you, yes, Overwatch 2 is gonna be releasing on this exact date, but that's why I specified and said it's not like Overwatch 2 is gonna be releasing alongside the Xbox Series X on November 10th. But here's why it would be a safe assumption, but here's also why it won't be happening, because when you also think logically, if that were to happen, don't you think Blizzard would be talking about Overwatch 2 maybe not 2 months before the next-gen consoles come out? Because that's what they did with Overwatch 1. They hyped it up. They had all these guerrilla marketing campaigns. They had betas. They had alphas. They talked about it for years. I don't think 2 months before the next-gen consoles is really a safe assumption to say, yep, Overwatch 2 is going to be releasing soon, because the way that I look at it, while yes, there is a thing that's going on in the world, I don't think if that was happening that Blizzard would even like announce that Overwatch 2 was releasing later on this year, because from the looks of it, the virtual BlizzCon is going to be happening early in 2021, and I think that's when they're actually going to be talking about Overwatch 2, which sucks, which is sad, and it also doesn't make sense, because if there's going to be new consoles, why wouldn't you try to push your game onto those new consoles? And I did make a video before talking about why that might be the case, and it's because Blizzard takes their times with their video games. They don't ever rush it out. Every single video game that Blizzard has released, most of the time has been a hit, and there's been a lot of rush video games to make it onto next-gen consoles that completely suck. So what I can see happening is that Overwatch 2, while it might not be a launch title, while it might not release later on this year, maybe a release in the summer of next year around the anniversary of Overwatch 1, and then at that point, it's a celebration of Overwatch and also the celebration of the new Overwatch game. But we'll just have to see. But we know that Overwatch 2, it's gonna be good. If it's taking this long, it better be good. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.